A brutal slap from my father made my sight blur completely. The force of it momentarily made my own apartment appear unsteady. He delivered the blow without any warning or yelling. He simply raised his hand right after I uttered the single word he never thought he would hear. No. This confrontation occurred after my parents had finished selling their primary residence, purchased my brother a property worth $850,000, and then appeared at my doorstep planning to claim my life, too. Many assume that moment of violence destroyed everything, but it was just the prologue. I am Grace Thorne. I spent most of my years mastering the art of quiet survival. I wasn't trying to hide. I just preferred to be less noticeable than those demanding attention. My brother, Ethan, was definitely one of those people. He didn't merely occupy a space, he dominated the atmosphere. My parents cherished that trait. They often declared he was destined for greatness. I was just reliable, steady Grace, the child who required zero assistance. This might explain why, by age 30, my life was founded on strict order and control. My condo in Indianapolis, Indy, served as my peaceful refuge. Everything had sharp edges, soft illumination, and bookshelves arranged by shade and dimension. After hours spent analyzing client financials, returning to silence was a welcome relief. Silence was logical. It never deceived me. The evening everything changed was already deep in the autumn season. The atmosphere held a faint chill, carrying the scent of seasonal change and wood smoke. I had just prepared a mug of coffee and slipped out of my shoes when the front door buzzer sounded, 3 short, desperate bursts. That kind of ringing always signals a major error or a crisis. I opened the door to find my parents standing there, each carrying 2 pieces of luggage, appearing like delayed airline passengers. My mother's eyes looked watery and large. My father held his mouth rigid and tense. "We no longer have the house," Mom murmured, pulling me into a hug that felt practiced. "Poor financial choices. We are stranded." I stepped out of their way. What choice do you have when your parents claim they are suddenly unhoused? I found space for their bags and confirmed they could sleep over for a short duration. The prolonged sigh of relief my father gave twisted my gut immediately. Mom instantly occupied herself in the kitchen, checking my storage like she owned the place. "Your spice selection is insufficient," she commented, shifting items I had meticulously arranged. Dad took possession of the sofa, grabbed the remote control, and started changing channels as if this were his familiar den. "Have you consulted an attorney?" I asked softly. "What about the bank? Anyone?" Mom's polite expression vanished. "Darling, it's too complex." I wanted to know how it was complex. My father avoided eye contact. "We are working through the details." I knew that evasive voice. They used it every time the facts were uncomfortable. Despite my suspicion, I tried hard to trust them and ignore the growing anxiety as they avoided discussing the actual situation. Then the small, subtle signs began appearing. My mother placed her skincare products in my bathroom drawers. My father began fixing loose hardware on my kitchen cabinets, acting like a long-term resident doing repairs. They constantly referred to my apartment as we space. My mother gave me a look and stated, "It already feels so familiar here." The best quality of silence is that it amplifies any discordant noise. Things were not right. I sensed the true story closing in on the boundaries of my apartment, ready to surface. By the 3rd consecutive morning, the heavy aroma of my mother's pancakes saturated the kitchen. She was humming faintly, almost unsettlingly, turning them on my cookware, simulating a routine from my youth. Dad sat reading articles on his device, offering commentary on current events, treating this space like his lifelong morning spot. I observed them silently, the heat leaving my coffee. "Have you started searching for new housing?" I questioned. "What about determining your next moves?" Mom paused momentarily, enough to confirm my suspicion. "It has only been a short while, dear. We need breathing room." Dad maintained his focus on his phone. "You are pushing this too fast. Stop rushing." They arrived with 4 pieces of luggage and provided 0 genuine answers. I moved my spoon through my drink. "I am not rushing anything. I am asking questions." My father finally glanced at me, a quick, severe look, then averted his gaze. "Forget about it for the moment." That instant sharpness in his look brought a chill to my core. They weren't lost or stressed. They were intentionally delaying. Later that afternoon, I contacted Marcus Reed from my patio. We knew each other from college. Now he practices law downtown. He was the person I needed to clear up my parents' misleading story. "I need you to look into something," I requested. "My parents claim they lost their house." Marcus sounded worried. "Grace, are you okay?" "Not entirely. Just find out what you can." He agreed to start immediately. I went back inside. My mother was rearranging my pantry again, stacking cans perfectly. My father sat on the sofa, shoes off, remote in hand. He muttered about fixing the loose latch on my hall closet as if settling in for a long stay. "Dad," I said calmly, "that door is fine." "It requires a masculine touch," he replied. I tightened my grip on the phone. I couldn't sleep that night, listening to the unfamiliar breathing of 2 extra people. Every instinct screamed that I did not know the whole story. Marcus called the following day. His tone revealed everything instantly. "Grace, your parents did not lose their house." My heart stopped. "What do you mean?" "I mean they sold it willingly." "Sold it? Why?" A cash wire transfer occurred. The buyer sent $950,000 directly to an account linked to a property registered under Ethan's name. I stared at the cold metal of my patio railing. My parents sold their house to buy my brother a $950,000 home. "I'm afraid that's the situation." Silence stretched out. Marcus continued. "They suffered no loss. They made a choice. They are at your place now because they intentionally gave theirs away." I closed my eyes. The truth hit hard. Of course, my brother, the golden child, needed a boost. They gave him their life savings, a house, almost $1 million. Then they came here with a lie about investments, expecting me to support the loss they had created. I walked back in feeling like an outsider in my own space. My mother was sorting her beauty supplies at the island. My father had disassembled my closet hardware. They looked deeply comfortable, as if this was now their residence. "Grace," my mother asked, smiling, "you look all right." I stared at them, seeing the truth behind their gentle lies. They didn't need me. They expected me to be their contingency plan. Something shifted inside me. I realized the confrontation had to happen. It began the next morning with a single, sharp sentence over the counter. "You both must start looking for a new place." I spoke gently at first. My mother blinked at me. My father stopped fiddling with the cabinet. "What exactly do you mean?" she asked softly. "I mean you cannot stay permanently. You chose to sell. This is not your default residence." The silence was hostile. Mom's face tightened. Dad's posture stiffened. "We are your family," my mother whispered. "Where should we go?" Dad added. "You are making a drama out of this." "No," I replied firmly. "I am setting a boundary." Dad turned fully toward me, screwdriver still in hand. "We gave my brother a home because he needed it. You are successful. You have always managed fine." There it was. My strength was just an excuse for them to use me. "You lied. You claimed ruin. You gave everything to Ethan. You cannot stay." My mother's eyes filled with tears, a typical tactic. "Grace, honey." The guilt was gone this time. Dad stood slowly. "We are not going anywhere." "You are leaving," I countered. "Today or tonight." The room grew tense. Dad stepped closer. "Repeat that." "No," I stated simply. "You need to leave." That's when he reacted. No argument, just a quick, heavy strike across my cheek. My vision flashed. My face burned. He froze, surprised by himself. My mother gasped but didn't move. Clarity struck me instantly. If I failed to stop this now, it would only get worse. I stood straight, touching my cheek. "Get out of my house." His voice was low. "Don't speak to me like that." I didn't answer. I grabbed my phone and dialed the police. "Grace," Mom pleaded. "Stop this." "He hit me," I told Dad, staring at him. "In my own home." When the dispatcher answered, my voice was steady. "Yes, I need officers at my address. 2 people are refusing to leave." Dad's jaw twitched, but he didn't advance. Mom started crying loudly, a desperate sound that felt like an attempt to blame me. Mr. Jenkins, my neighbor, looked in. "Is everything okay?" No, I said, but it will be. The officers instantly changed the atmosphere. Dad tried to argue his case, but he lacked legal standing. Mom begged, claiming victimhood. The officers looked to me. Do you want them removed? Yes, I confirmed. I do. Minutes later, they were collecting their luggage, the bags brought with lies. As law enforcement escorted them out, something finalized within me. This was not a defeat. This was my true beginning. The night my parents were escorted from my condo did not mark an end. It just moved the fight to a new arena. For the next few days, the silence in my home felt restorative and safer. But beneath the calm, an understanding buzzed. The choices made by my parents and my brother, Ethan, were starting to fall apart. 3 days after the eviction, I received the first call. It was Sierra, Ethan's girlfriend. Her voice was tight and almost frantic. Grace, are your parents staying with you? No, a shaky breath followed. He can't do this. He can't just shut everything down. Sierra, what exactly is happening? Before she could elaborate, the connection dropped. I heard nothing else for 2 weeks. Then my grandmother, Beatrice, called. Her voice was firm, yet I sensed the trouble underneath. You need to visit, she instructed. It's time you found out what is going on. When I arrived, she led me into her kitchen. Sunlight streamed onto the wood table. Rolled-up newspapers lay next to her coffee cup. Your parents have been staying here, she revealed. With me, they showed up the night you called the police. They said they needed a place to think. I let out a sharp breath. And what have they been doing? Beatrice pressed her lips into a thin line. Thinking, no, they've been arguing with each other, with Ethan, and with themselves. They are breaking down, Grace. I settled into a chair. Why? She slid one of the newspapers toward me. The main headline clenched my stomach. Area man faces foreclosure after failed startup. Ethan's name was not explicitly printed, but the facts were clear. The value of the property, the location, and the timeline. He took out a mortgage on the house, Beatrice said quietly. The one your parents purchased for him. I felt the air tighten around me. A mortgage, how large? Nearly the entire amount, I gasped. And the investment failed, she confirmed. Lost within a single month, fast, reckless decisions all around. Of course it was. Ethan, despite his charm and self-assurance, had wagered their entire life savings on a business idea he barely understood. Beatrice reached across the table. Your parents truly believed they were helping him. They never imagined the depth of his failure. They are facing the consequences now. I swallowed hard. What is it they want from me? You, she answered. You are the only stable one left. They want you to fix this. Those words hit me harder than they should have. That had always been my role. I had been their safety net since I turned 18. They expected me to catch them again, regardless of how badly they had hurt me first. Before I could respond, a car door shut outside. Beatrice looked towards the window. That would be them. My mother entered first, her eyes red but her body language stiff. Dad followed, his shoulders slumped, a different man from the one who struck me weeks before. Then Ethan came in last. He looked defeated, pale, and exhausted. The 3 of them stood in the entrance, a picture of collapse. Beatrice cleared her throat. Sit down. We all obeyed. My mother's voice shook. Grace, we didn't come here to start a fight. Dad stared at the table's surface. We want to explain. Ethan avoided looking at me completely. I folded my hands. Then start explaining. Mom started. We sold the house because Ethan's startup needed funding. We thought the house we bought him was an investment into his future. An investment you didn't even mention to me, I countered. Dad flinched. We didn't think you would understand. That sentence stung. I'd heard it my entire life. Didn't think I'd understand, I repeated softly. Or didn't think I mattered. Dad opened his mouth, then closed it again. Mom wiped her eyes. Ethan finally spoke. I screwed up, he whispered. I genuinely believed I had a good concept. I thought I could turn it into something that would make you proud. At what cost? I asked. He remained silent. He didn't need to answer. The foreclosure filing, the massive mortgage, the failed investments, everything spelled out the price. Dad leaned forward. We understand we hurt you badly. What happened at your condo should never have occurred. I held his gaze. You hit me. His face registered pain. I know I did. The words came out roughly. I was furious, ashamed, and losing everything. It made me act like someone I am not. Mom reached for my hand, then hesitated. We didn't come here demanding you fix anything. We came because Beatrice told us the truth. What truth? That you do not owe us your home, she said quietly, or your life or your forgiveness. The room became silent. Even the house seemed to pause. Beatrice then spoke, calmly but firmly. Family members make serious errors, but recovery doesn't start with fixing finances. It starts with accepting the damage done. Ethan nodded, tears falling. I am trying. I am actively looking for work. I will repay what I can. Mom whispered. We want to repair things, Grace, but we will do it without destroying you again. Dad swallowed hard. If you allow us, we want to earn your forgiveness, not demand it from you. The anger I carried began to loosen. It wasn't gone or forgotten, but it eased enough for me to breathe freely. I cannot fix the choices you made, I stated, and I refuse to carry them anymore, but I am willing to talk. Slowly and genuinely, my mother broke down into sobs, not manipulative or desperate this time, but truly relieved. Dad gave one deep nod. Ethan finally looked up, gratitude visible on his exhausted face. Beatrice offered a gentle smile. Good, then this is the true start. It was not the start of forgetting. It was the beginning of recognizing how much we all needed to rebuild, first individually, and perhaps someday together. Everything moved slowly in the weeks that followed, which is typical for real healing. My parents remained at my grandmother's house. They were not seeking rescue as victims. They were people learning to live with the fallout of their own actions. My grandmother did not coddle them. She guided them with strong words, soft reminders, and the kind of honesty they had avoided for years. My brother secured a job. It was humble and consistent, completely unlike the grand ambitions he used to brag about. But he showed up every day. He called me once a week. He never asked for help. He just provided updates and apologized again in small, heartfelt ways. As for me, my condo felt transformed. It was lighter and more stable. I installed a new lock and rearranged some items. I did this not out of fear, but as an act of reclaiming my space. Marcus checked on me often. He reminded me that boundaries are not walls, they are doors that I control. One quiet Saturday, I drove to visit my grandmother. My parents were outside, working side by side, raking fallen leaves. They looked up when they saw me. They did not look demanding or guilty, just hopeful. For the first time, I felt something beyond anger. I felt a sense of possibility. We are not a perfect family now. Perhaps we never were, but we are finally an honest one. I realized that forgiveness doesn't mean deleting the past. It means choosing not to carry someone else's failures on your back. My home is entirely mine once more. My peace belongs to me again. And the future? We are constructing it one careful step at a time. If any part of my story resonates with you, please share your own experience in the comments and subscribe for more stories like mine.